In this video, you're going to learn everything there is to about the FIRE movement. So what is the FIRE movement? FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. We're going to go through exactly what that means. We are going to go through the pros and cons of the FIRE movement. And if you guys stick around till the end, you're going to get to know my thoughts on whether this is something you should pursue or not. Before we get started though, please hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications, and turn the like button blue because that does help me out a lot. What are you waiting for? So, according to Wikipedia, the FIRE movement is a lifestyle movement with the goal of gaining financial independence and retiring early. FIRE teaches you that you need to save 25% of your annual spendings, and once you've done that, invested at about 4% should let you live for the rest of your life without having to work a single minute. But in reality, is this really possible? We're soon going to find out. It is said that if you calculate your annual spending right now and multiply that by 25, that is the amount that you will need to be invested at 4% returns, so that every single year of your retirement, by spending your annual returns of 4%, you are then able to live off that income without having to work actively for the rest of your life. So, what are some of the pros of the FIRE movement? Well, it teaches you to live frugally, which is great. This is something that everyone should learn. It is something that every single person should live by. Do not spend on unnecessary things. It teaches us to think more about our finances. It teaches us how we need to be aware of where we are earning as well as where we are spending. It teaches us to reduce our expenses. It teaches us not to spend on things that are absolutely unnecessary. It teaches us not to be attracted by sales at the mall, and it teaches us to save and invest everything that we are earning right now. So these are all great attributes to have when you think about personal finance. Everyone should be living by these rules. However, the problem I have with the FIRE movement is that it is sort of catered towards the people of the higher income bracket. And what I mean by that is, if for example, your annual spending to live very frugally is about $25,000. And remember, guys, $25,000 is not at all a lot of money when you're thinking about spending for the entire year. We're talking about utilities, we're talking about housing, food, transportation, every single aspect is covered for an entire year with this figure. So, what would it take to achieve FIRE with $25,000 of annual spending? It is going to be $625,000 that you need to save up before you achieve FIRE. So if you consider the average earnings in the US, which happens to be $60,000 annually, you're then looking at taking 10 whole years to achieve the $600,000 that we're talking about. And this is without factoring the expenses that you would be spending on a monthly and annual basis throughout those 10 years. This is without factoring the taxes that you would be paying during all those years. So overall, it's going to take a lot longer than what it seems to be. And the problem with that is that when people look at FIRE, they try to get motivated, but when they do the numbers, they get disheartened by it, and it doesn't really help the people who need it the most. The second problem I have with the FIRE movement is when you see retire early, it comes across as if you no longer have to work for the rest of your life. This is something I believe is completely off reality. Even if you do achieve FIRE, you need to know that you absolutely have to continue to work and keep adding to your savings. If you stop working the second you achieve the figure that you have calculated for yourself, it is going to be bad news for you in the future. The FIRE movement is talking about people retiring at the age of 30, 35, 40. So what does that mean? You're looking at a retirement period of 50 to 60 years if you do achieve retirement at 30 to 40 years. So there are a few problems associated with this calculation because the FIRE movement is based off of a study which was conducted over a period of 30 years, not 50 to 60 years. What that means is that over a longer period of time, when you start withdrawing 4% on an annual basis, it is not going to last you as long as you think. Let me give you an example. So let's say you saved up 600 plus $1,000 and you now have achieved your FIRE, and now you can live off of $25,000 every single year. You've now invested all of this money into an S&P 500 fund, which is giving you a returns of about 7% per annum. You are withdrawing 4% off of your annual increase, and you are now letting the remaining 3% compound and grow your money. all's fun and games, right? Well, no. Here's the thing. From the remaining 3%, you actually have to factor in inflation rates. You also have to factor in the fees that you're going to be paying towards your fund management. You're also going to have to factor in the fact that funds and any sort of investment do not bring you a fixed rate of return. Although the past has proven that you can earn over 7% per annum over the long period of time with the S&P 500, it doesn't necessarily mean that the rate of increase is going to be consistent at 7% or whether it might drop a little bit in the future. We are also not factoring the fact that tax rates can go up, which means the income that you're generating might have a higher tax rate. So the longer retirement period that you factor in, the more uncertain it becomes. And the fact that it is based off of a study for only 30 years and you're planning to retire for 40 to 50 to 60 years makes it very unreasonable to look at this as something that would work over a long period of time. Not only that, if you look at other countries, if you don't live in the US, if you don't live in Canada or the UK, other countries do have different rates where you might have to spend a little bit more, where you might have to withdraw a little bit more on an annual basis. And this 4% rule then becomes very difficult to follow across the globe. And one of the most important factors that you have to think about when you are thinking about retiring at a very young age is the human mentality. Can you actually be disciplined enough to live off of $25,000 for the rest of your life when you're sitting and doing nothing, when you're not working, when you're retired? You're not going to be spending your time at the beach. You're going to be at home living a frugal life. And you're going to be doing that for 50 years. Is that really possible? This is something you really have to ask yourself before you stop working when you achieve your FIRE number. So, am I completely against the FIRE movement? Absolutely not. The FIRE movement is great as long as you use it with a pinch of salt. Use your common sense and think for yourself whether this is going to be sustainable over a long period of time. Second thing is, do not be disheartened when you think that your FIRE number is $600,000 and you're earning only $30,000 before tax. It doesn't matter, because the important things to take away from the FIRE movement is that you need to save as much as possible, you need to live as frugally as possible, and you need to learn to increase your income as much as possible when you can. The rest of it, I would say, do not follow the FIRE movement. Do not stop working and do not retire as soon as you reach a specific number, and continue to work hard for as long as possible, but without the mental stress, because you now have a healthy investment portfolio that you can fall back upon if you do have to retire. And like I said, if you are not able to achieve your FIRE number, and if you're not able to save up $600,000 or $1,000,000 in a given time frame, it doesn't matter, because the principles that they do teach you with regards to saving and investing and with regards to living below your means is still applicable to you, and you can continue to work towards saving as much as possible, so you will eventually have a fun and healthy retirement. So if you agree with me on my thoughts on the FIRE movement, please hit the like button and subscribe down below. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell as well. But if you don't agree with my thoughts on the FIRE movement, please let me know in the comment section, and I'll try to reply to each one of your comments as soon as I can. Until next time, see you.